Israeli Air Force struck a Hamas terrorist base inside a hospital in Gaza. A multiple number of terrorists are dead. This tweet is now deleted. The point of this video is to show you how propaganda and misinformation leads to the death of thousands of people. This comment, alongside myself and many other people, saw this play out in real time. First, they announced that they bombed the terrorists. Then they said that terrorists were in a hospital. And then they started to realize how quickly videos and pictures are coming out of dead remaining parts of children and women and innocent civilians. So they backtracked and said, oh, Hamas just misfired at its own people. This reporter specifically from CNN, alongside BBC News that tweeted this exact tweet 24 hours ago, are complicit and they have blood on their hands. Behind me is a man carrying 2 bags, and what is in them is the remains of his dead children. First they said, yes, it was us, and we got the terrorists that were inside the hospital. And then they said, no, it wasn't us, it was a misfire. And now they're using fake videos to justify and say, see, it wasn't us, it was just the Islamic Jihad. The timestamp on that video as 1 hour before the incident took place. And if you thought that it couldn't get worse from the propaganda that we're seeing in the past 4 hours, they posted this on their Facebook page, saying that due to the lack of medical equipment and the lack of medical staff, we're just gonna bomb them because this is a mercy from us. Here's another screenshot of that page in Arabic. The IDF spokesman said that they warned the hospital to evacuate because they're going to hit it. So the next time you come across disgusting, disingenuous headlines like this, you know who did it.
So recently, the U.S. Treasury Secretary said that we could absolutely afford another war. And people were shocked by her saying this because we can't afford things like free healthcare or relieving student loan debt or doing anything about the housing crisis or inflation or, anything. And I don't know why we're shocked. Putting aside the fact that the U.S. government generally doesn't give two flying flips about the people who live in the United States, it's pretty obvious that we can afford another war on top of the one we're already supporting in Ukraine because this isn't a war. One side has no army, no navy, no real military. They have radical groups, they have liberation movements, but they don't have soldiers to go send into war. The war is with the civilians. Conversely, the other side is so strapped that they had an iron dome that we all thought was impenetrable. In fact, when news first broke out that Hamas had attacked Israel, everyone was surprised. Do you know how much it is not a war if we are all shocked that the other side of the war got a hit in and then proceeds to not really get in another one? This isn't a war. These are civilians, largely 18 and younger, versus a government that has been backed by the entire globe, namely the U.S. superpower for decades. Of course we can fund Israel. Of course we can support another war. There's no real other side. This is not a war. This is colonialism and conquest at best. At this point, it's a genocide. And one thing about the United States is that if a cause serves us enough, we will always have the money and resources to fund it.
Y'all, I can't believe it. I just can't fucking believe it. We are really about to have to witness and watch millions of people inside of Gaza die. Why? Because the UN Security Council resolution that called for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza didn't pass. The resolution proposed by Russia was voted against by UK, United States, Japan, and France. The draft called for a humanitarian ceasefire, release of all hostages, aid access, and safe evacuation of civilians. And why did they vote no? Because of the lack of specific condemnation of extremist group Hamas. So France, Japan, United States, and UK voted no. And I'll tell you what, I'm not the only one that's fucking done with these people. Folks at the UN are done as well. It is sad as fuck. People need to be reminded of this.